This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thanks for getting up with us on this Sunday morning. I'm Tim Gordon.
And I'm Christelle Kumwe. This morning on Sunrise, the gun debate unexpectedly reaches TEDx Portland. How the organization may have broken federal rules by bringing on a candidate for governor.
Plus, a local bias crime makes headlines and an impact as a man faces charges. What it tells us for future incidents. But before we get to all that, let's check in with Chris McGinnis for a look at our Sunday forecast. Good morning, Chris.
Let's do that. Good morning, guys. Here's a live scan from our PDX radar. We've got generally dry conditions right now over the Portland, Vancouver metro area. But as we go a little wider and put this into motion over the last couple of hours, you can see that a band of showers continues pushing east up into the Cascade foothills and up into the Cascades themselves. Back to the west, you can see a few sprinkles here across the Oregon Coast Range. We're probably in a little bit of a lull in the rain action this morning, but I do expect showers to be back in play a bit later on today. Up on the mountain, it's snowing actually pretty hard at Timberline. Cascade passes are generally wet. You can see here right now Highway 26 at Government Camp. We've got bare pavement there. 51 degrees last check at PDX with a cloudy sky, and the plan for today, we may see one or two sun breaks. We're also likely to see one or two showers today, not like the steady rain that we saw yesterday afternoon, but nonetheless, a wet finish to our weekend with a high near 60 degrees. Guys?
Thank you, Chris. Now, right now, President Biden and First Lady are on their way to Uvalde, Texas.
Now, they'll meet with the families of the victims of last week's mass shooting.
Too much violence, too much fear, too much grief. Let's be clear. Evil came to that elementary school classroom in Texas, to that grocery store in New York, to far too many places where innocents have died. In the face of such destructive forces, we have to stand stronger. We must stand stronger. We cannot outlaw tragedy, I know, but we can make America safer. We can finally do what we have to do to protect the lives of the people and of our children.
Now, the president spoke on the tragedy during a commencement address at the University of Delaware yesterday. He called on Americans to work together to make the nation what it can and should be.
The survivors in Texas are clinging to faith to keep going after the aftermath of the shooting. Volunteers joined efforts to help a Roman Catholic church there get ready for vigil events. One of those was a teacher at Robb Elementary School, where the massacre of 19 children and 2 adults took place. She says the only way to keep her students quiet during the violence was to tell them to pray.
I pray to God, please shield my door, please shield my wall, because I could hear everything happening right there. I could smell it. I could smell it. We were right there.
Catholic Charities Archdiocese of San Antonio is helping victims' families and survivors by contacting counselors who dealt with the aftermath of Sandy Hook.
Well, a lot of people are talking about the gun debate, and it unexpectedly flared up at TEDx Portland on Saturday. And turns out the nonprofit may have broken federal rules in the process. Oregon gubernatorial candidate Betsy Johnson was brought onto the Moda Center stage for TEDx Portland. She was not a previously announced guest. We need to say KGW is a media partner for TEDx Portland, but we did not know Johnson would be appearing. Well, after a few questions, some in the crowd shouted for her to speak about gun control. Johnson has an A rating from the NRA, an organization that has fought most gun control measures nationwide.
The style of the gun doesn't dictate the lethality, but I think...
Yeah, a lot of people in the crowd were not happy to hear that comment after 19 children were shot and killed with an AR-15 this week. But reaction was mixed as Johnson also spoke about factors contributing to gun violence.
I think that we have so divided this debate on gun, no gun, that we're losing track of some of that stuff in the middle ground. And that stuff in the middle ground is we have, by any definition, a mental health system.
Well, Johnson called on the need for more mental health services, and many cheered for that, as you heard. But whatever the public reaction, the bigger issue here is TEDx Portland appears to have violated federal IRS rules that it prohibits tax-exempt nonprofits from participating in a political campaign. The host, David Ray, said this interview was planned for about 2 weeks. Now, TEDx Portland released a statement saying, quote, having a political candidate on our stage this morning was not the right decision. We apologize for the error in judgment and the distraction this moment created in what was otherwise an engaging and celebratory day.
We're learning more about a man arrested and charged this week for bias crime. Police say surveillance showed him putting up neo-Nazi propaganda outside the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization in East Portland. Alma McCarty has been following the story for us.
It's a message we've all heard before. If you see something, say something. In Northeast Portland, saying something and reporting hateful vandalism led to an arrest of a suspected white supremacist.
We're just really grateful that the situation turned out the way that it did.
Investigators say Jarl Rockhill drove from West Lynn to the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization in Portland to put neo-Nazi propaganda on the fence of the community center in April. Court documents reveal it was a sticker showing the image of the Iron March, a neo-Nazi white supremacist organization that advocates for lone wolf violence against Jews, immigrants, and other communities of color. That incident, along with the suspect's car and license plate, were captured on camera. Soko Iet, the director of ERCO's Pacific Islander and Asian Family Centers, said they let law enforcement know right away.
A simple act of putting a sticker onto our community center turned out down the road to be this series of events that could have averted a larger incident.
A month after that incident, officers pulled Rockhill over and served a search warrant at his home. There, they found numerous rifles, handguns, and other items, not specifically linked to the criminal investigation. Investigators combed through the suspect's social media and found several sites listing him as a white supremacist and a member of a neo-Nazi group in Portland. He was arrested and charged with bias crime and criminal mischief.
We want to make sure that our community feels safe, that our families feel safe, and that our students feel safe.
Iet said he's seen an across-the-board increase in hate against the Asian American Pacific Islander community, though these bias and hate crimes often go underreported. He appreciates the work law enforcement took to find, arrest, and charge the suspect.
It requires a lot of community listening, community collaboration, especially with our communities of color and our communities that are immigrant refugee. These incidences are an indicator that, we have a lot of work to do in our community.
In Northeast Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Well, Portland is feeling the impact of gun violence this weekend. 10 people were hit by gunfire across the city in a span of just 24 hours. The incidents in Portland started early Friday morning and stretched into the early morning hours of Saturday. Each incident has a different story, from a group getting into some kind of fight to homeowners confronting people breaking into cars. You can find a full timeline and specifics on KGW.com. In the meantime, Portland police continue to say that they are spread thin with calls like this taking away response to other calls. Anyone with information about these shootings is asked to contact police. You can stay anonymous and be eligible for a cash reward if you report relevant information to Crime Stoppers of Oregon. We'll be right back.